Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to the F1 show. Yes, we are back. We've had quite a few weeks off now for various reasons. We've had school exams and stuff like that. So we've taken a few weeks away from YouTube and F1, but we are back now. And we also are pleased to say we're bringing as many races as we can towards the end of this season. Well, for the second half of this season live to you on YouTube and stuff like that. So yeah, it promises to be a fantastic end to the season. But obviously, Max Verstappen is storming that championship right now, 49 points clear of teammate Sergio Perez, who's in second place in the championship. So yeah, it's really looking like a good championship for Max Verstappen, and it will take a lot. It really will take a lot for other drivers to defeat him, to beat him. Sunday on every Sunday, he's on fire. He's won every single race he's finished this season. He's won every single race. Actually, no, not actually. It's not. That's not quite true. He's won every single race other than Monaco, Baku, Bahrain, and Australia. Obviously, Bahrain and Australia, he didn't finish. So he's only not won two races where he's reached the checkered flag this year, which is a phenomenal record. Honestly, we go to Silverstone in a week and a half's time. We were at Canada last week. We went to Monaco a few weeks ago, which was as dramatic as anything. Monaco being Monaco with the weather and everything like that. We went to Baku. We got a bit of a So Max Verstappen did win in Baku, didn't he? Yes, he did win in Baku. It was a bit of a the two blowouts. We didn't quite see that fight for the lead we wanted to. Would Leclerc have won that race? I think he probably would have been able to hold off the Red Bull. But and then obviously Leclerc took the engine penalty in Montreal last weekend, and that rather hampered his chances of even winning the Canadian Grand Prix or even getting further up the grid on the Canadian Grand Prix. But Red Bull, obviously they had their reliability issues at the start of the season. They seem to have passed that over to the Scuderia team at the moment, with Charles Leclerc having 2 DNFs in 3 races due to mechanical failure. Had a double DNF in Baku, with Carlos Sainz also not finishing the Azerbaijan GP. So that they really did have a torrid time in Baku, in Azerbaijan. But as Matteo Binotto said, they were always going to bounce back from this. They're on a bad run of form at the moment. But we go to Silverstone next week, and we will talk about Silverstone more on the next F1 show. So we're going to try not to talk about it that much this week. But yeah, they go to Silverstone next week. Should have a much better car. That car's always competitive at Silverstone. But we're going to touch on the issue that's been the main focus of this season, despite the championship dominance of Max Verstappen, the porpoising, and why is it affecting so much teams, and how can it be prevented? Well, the answer is we don't really know how it can be prevented. So we know that if we raise the ride height of the car, that will stop the porpoising, or at least reduce it. But then obviously teams have to sacrifice their top speed, which they won't want to do. Now, is it a safety concern? That's the second question. Yes, it is. Of course it is. It is very, very much a safety concern. Having cars going boom, 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 boom at 200 miles an hour, it very, very much is a safety concern. So that I believe why is the FIA intervened. And should they have intervened? Yes, I think they should have done. I think that was very much right of the FIA to intervene in the way that they have done. They haven't given the exact answers. They've said they'll be monitoring it, and hopefully we might get the new regulations by Silverstone. We might get it by Austria. We might get it by France. We might get it after the summer break. We don't really know exactly what is happening in that FIA room right now regarding the porpoising. We've had there's meetings with teams. We know a few teams, such as Red Bull, are against the idea of changing porpoising or changing the regulations. But we also know there are a good handful of teams, such as Mercedes, AlphaTauri, McLaren, who are also in favour of adjusting the regulations. But of course they are going to be, because they're the team that is struggling with this porpoising issue the most. really, the most. And the Mercedes is terrible this year. No, the Lewis and George have really been driving the wheels off that car. Obviously, George getting so many podiums this year. Consistency, Mr. Consistency. It was Mr. Saturday, it's Mr. Consistency now. Scoring top 5 finishes every single race this season in a car that maybe should not even have been in the points in certain races. Obviously, they had the woes of Jeddah where Lewis Hamilton didn't even reach Q2. And then they had the highs of Spain where we thought, oh right, they might be on their way back. And then obviously Azerbaijan came and they were terrible in Azerbaijan. And obviously we came to Canada and they looked a lot better. The race pace did look quite good. The quali pace also looked good, even though it was a wet qualifying, which I think the conditions very much suited Lewis Hamilton in that qualifying session, with it being going to the wet to dry. Should he have gone to 6? Should he have stayed in intermediates? George made the decision to go to 6. It didn't work out. And that is where you have the experience of a 7-time world champion. You know when the track is ready for 6. It wasn't ready for 6 when George tried it. Parts of it were, not all of it. And if not all of it is ready, you don't run the 6. That's a rule in Formula One that most F1 drivers will know about. But yeah, it's been a very, very interesting opening 8 rounds of the season. Is it 8 rounds now? Yeah, I think it is 8 rounds, isn't it? We'll have a look. Yes, I think it is 8 rounds. But anyway, go to Silverstone next week, Austria the week after, France the week after that, then Hungary, then it's the summer break, then it's Belgium on the 28th of August, then it's the Dutch Grand Prix, then it's the Italian Grand Prix, not the Russian Grand Prix after that, Singapore Grand Prix, Japanese Grand Prix, United States Grand Prix, Mexican Grand Prix, Brazilian Grand Prix, and the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix to end the season. Obviously, we finished earlier this year due to the late starting football FIFA World Cup. So, yeah, we finished a lot earlier than scheduled. 20th of November is when we finished this year. And I think we probably will mean we will start next season earlier than what we have done traditionally, because obviously the longer break. So I suspect next season will start early March. And obviously 24 races, it's probably not going to end to December. So it's going to be a very long season next season. But you know what? It's going to be exciting. It's going to be enduring for the teams. But, if the promising issues can be fixed for next year, then it promises to be a good year in Formula One. It really does. Obviously, we had that great, fantastic, attractive battle that every single person in sport had their eyes on. Non F1 fans came to watch that race, and it was a phenomenal ending to a phenomenal championship, to a phenomenal season. And we will probably never see a season quite like that in so many years. And that's why I'm so glad we do these live streams, because we get the live reaction of it. And watching that live, I think there was a lot of infuriating, a lot of frustration because of what happened and the way it was handled. Yes, Max Verstappen won the World Championship, probably deserved to win the World Championship more than what Lewis Hamilton did, even though that comeback was quite outstanding. So, yeah, but anyway, I'm trying to forget about it. But I keep seeing Michael Massey memes everywhere. And the FIA actually hasn't ruled him out coming back as the race director next year. They said that he will lose his position this year, but they never actually said, will we come back next year? And that was highlighted by the FAA president after after they released their statement regarding what happened last year. So, yeah, it's been a busy few months in Formula One. We head to Silverstone next week, as I said. Iconic event, iconic circuit. We can't wait, can we? I don't think you can either. So, yeah, as I said, we will bring you qualifying and the race live for that. So, we'll be live for qualifying 250 and the race 235. So, yeah, that all promises to be a very, very good weekend in motorsport. And we also have F2, F3, Porsche Mobil 1 Super Cup, and W Series, all racing that weekend. So really, really promises to be a good weekend. But anyway, we are going to say bye-bye for this episode of the F1 show. Next week, the F1 show will be back. It's a Race Week Live episode as well. So, yeah, promises to be a good episode. We're bringing all the news in the build-up to the British Grand Prix. And, yeah, as I said, it's going to be a good one. So don't miss the F1 show next week. Put your bell on, set the reminder. We'll see you next week when Formula 1